Parents Defending Education finds themselves labeled a hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center. Joining us this morning to discuss is Erika Sanzi, Director of Outreach for Parents Defending Action. Good morning, Erika.
Hi, good morning. And just quick correct, we're Parents Defending Education is the name of our group.
Parents Defending Education, correct. Let's begin with you guys, along with several parental rights groups labeled by hate groups by the Southern Poverty Law Center and added to its hate map. First, your reaction to all of this.
So we weren't that surprised. They added 12 parental rights groups to their hate map. And because the Southern Poverty Law Center has become an organization that they have one preferred ideology, and anybody who does not conform to that is, in their minds, a hateful group. So while it's ridiculous and absurd that we're on that their map and on their site now, it's not that surprising. They also got a lot of their facts wrong. Our organization doesn't have any chapters at all. They listed 49 chapters in 49 different cities and states. No idea where they got that information, but that's wrong. So it's absurd and silly, but also unsurprising.
Students at the Marshall Simmons Middle School in Burlington, Massachusetts, they led a revolt against a Pride Month event. Students reported feeling obligated to take part after being asked to wear rainbow clothes. Many instead wore red, white, and blue. They chanted, "My pronouns are USA." And according to area stations, the district said some kids actually destroyed rainbow decorations. The superintendent posted a letter saying they experienced intolerance, calling for respectful behavior. Do you think there should be an option to opt in or opt out of these kinds of events?
I think the first conversation would be, are these events appropriate for schools? And I would argue that they are not. But if you are going to have these forced celebrations, because that's really what they are forcing students. It's almost like compelled speech. We've chosen a few issues that we are going to force you to become advocates for. We're going to force you to celebrate. And again, not only does that violate the First Amendment, you can't compel speech for students in a public school, but I also think that what they're seeing is a backlash because students are getting very tired of this and they feel sort of like they're being badgered and incessantly forced to discuss and think about and talk about LGBTQ plus IA, all of these different things. And so I just think that they're frustrated. Certainly there's no defense at all for destruction of property. But I do think that if they're going to have these events, they have to be optional and they have to stop making students feel like, again, they're bad people or they're hateful if they choose not to participate.
The superintendent I want to talk about another experience here. The superintendent of New York, Katona, Lewisboro School District, they wrote a letter to the community letting them know they can expect to see pride flags outside each of their schools. This has been happening for a while across the country. From your experience, what has the response been?
It really does vary. I mean, certainly there are pockets of parents who are totally on board with this because these are the issues that they care deeply about. So they love seeing this in their schools. The problem is that it really does exclude all of the families for whom this isn't an issue that they care about. They may have objections on religious grounds, which they're certainly allowed to do, and they never get any celebration or attention to the issues that they care about. So what we find mostly is parents feeling sort of exhausted by this. They do not think it is appropriate for these flags to be flying on flagpoles out of schools. And again, that's not everybody, but that does seem to be the majority, and that number seems to be rising the more that this is sort of like pushed into people's faces nonstop.
Seattle Public School District finally here, Erika, they released a statement promoting the city's Pride Parade later this month. What do you think is the impact of this?
I mean, again, this is Seattle, so you're more likely to have more people that are, interested in attending or think that it's normal for this communication to be going out from schools. But even in these really blue sort of progressive areas, we are beginning to see backlash because I think not only do people just feel like it's not necessarily an appropriate role for the school, but they're wondering, when am I going to get a letter related to academics? When am I going to get a letter announcing something about math and English and science and social studies? Instead, it seems like it's this hyper focus on political activism in the schools. And I think that's what's starting to get on people's nerves.
Erika Sanzi, thank you so much for the information and for coming on the National Desk this morning.
Thanks so much for having me.